Toronto 360 TV, best channel in Canada. One of the best channels in Canada. In fact, they're all great channels.
You're watching Toronto 360 TV with Saber Gaya.
So, first of all of us are here to network with our friends and family members. There is also sadqa and sawab in that. But on the other hand, why are we here? We are here to learn the current state of Rohingya crisis. Okay, so why are we here? So first of all, we are here to learn the current state of Rohingya crisis. Number two, to learn what HCI has done, Human Concern International, over last 4 decades, and what are they doing today on the ground. Number three, we are here to offer our support. How can we offer our support? We can spread the word. We can help raise funds. In many different ways, we can help our Rohingyan brothers and sisters. We'll talk about it. And then what else? We are also here to learn the role of Canadian government. We will be proud Canadians when we hear what Canadian government has done over the years, and we would like to welcome Member of Parliament from Don Valley, Mr. Rob Oliphant, who's here. So welcome, you're here. Thank you so much. I will explain why Rob is here, and when the time will come, you will see, and it will be very beneficial for all of us to understand what our government has done and what they plan to. Next, obviously, we all are also here to enjoy the live performance by Sayyid Sabir Rahmani, who's here from Pakistan. Inshallah, we will allocate enough time to enjoy the nasheeds from him live at 8 p.m. or maybe 5-10 minutes here and there. And lastly, we're also here to make new friends. You might be sitting on a table with somebody who you don't know, so please don't be shy. It's good to make 1 or 2 new friends tonight, inshallah, when we leave this place. So as Hassan mentioned, that I had this opportunity to go visit the Rohingyan refugee camps on behalf of all of you. Not every one of us will have the opportunity to go on the ground. Why we went there? What was the purpose? We wanted to engage with people to learn their stories, what challenges they are running into, and to review the progress of HCI projects. And lastly, we wanted to see what would be something else where HCI can bring Canadian donors more closer to the cause. So this was basically the whole purpose. And some of you might be thinking, where is this place? So first of all, let me show you. You see this red dot? This red dot is the place where the refugee camps are. This is the place between Bangladesh and Myanmar. So that is the bordering town. The way you get to this town is you have to fly to Dhaka, which is the capital of Bangladesh. And from there is 1 hour flight to another city which is known as Cox's Bazar. It's a very famous town. This is the town which is known for the longest beach in the world. It's a tourist area by the Bay of Bengal, as you can see here. But this is the place where 1.1 million, I will repeat, how many? 1.1 million refugees are living their lives. And today, we are going to talk about exactly that, and there might be some emotional moments that you will go through, you will experience. And then you will say thanks to your Lord that we live in the upper status of paradise here in Canada. So 1.1 million Rohingyan refugees. So who are Rohingyan? Quickly, I'll spend 60 seconds and then quickly we will move on. It's not a long presentation. So genocide in Burma is happening for quite some time. But 2 years ago, August 2017, it accelerated, and over 500,000 of refugees basically walked barefoot from Myanmar and they came into Bangladesh. The situation is they are known as stateless. The Myanmar government, Burma, do not accept them as their legit citizens, and they are in Bangladesh as a stateless, displaced people. Bangladesh want them to go back to their country. They do not want them to integrate with Bangladesh. That's a different story. We'll talk about it. But just to set this stage up here, it's 1.1 million brothers and sisters are displaced from their hometown. And it's not that they came with their luggage and everything else. Some came with no parents. Some came missing their brothers and sisters. So it's a very horrible story. So as I said, there may be some moments. Very brief, quick introduction of Human Concern International with the context of Rohingya crisis.
So Human Concern International, I hope many of you know, it is one of the first and oldest Islamic-based charity organization in Canada. And in Rohingya, specifically, we started working in 2008. Inside Myanmar, we did a lot of education and relief distribution, rehabilitation in terms of reconstruction of the shelters and schools, agriculture support, microcredits. Now, in 2013, we started working for the Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. Mainly at the beginning, it was giving food ration because the government would not let us do much. They didn't want them to settle there. But over a period, in the last 2 years, we've been helping with building shelters, giving out winter clothes, food distribution, and now we're focusing, we built Learning Center, of course, for the children. A very creative project, we'll talk more about that. But right now, we're focusing a lot on health and WASH as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So since we went to visit the Rohingya refugee camps, we would like to take you all with us in this journey. Although we are here, but as they say, a picture, photo, or video will say 1,000 words. So let me share this video with you so then you can have the context how the camps are looking like.
You can see these are the small mountains, but here everywhere you can see there are tents, there are camps, and over time it looks like they've become kind of permanent houses for these refugees. And you can see they've built these stairs, some permanent, some temporary stairs, but this is how they've been living their life here at the Rohingya refugee camps. You can see how their houses are laid out, and the way they've done is there are about 31 different camps, and this is just one campsite. And I'm showing you one side of the camp, and each camp could have up to north of 20,000, 30,000 people living in one single camp.
We went there, we were there for a number of days. What was the biggest learning of life that you learned by visiting the camps and talking to people, learning their story?
So I think, for me, first, what was the most shocking thing for me is how you can contain 1.2 or 1.3 million people in that space. And basically, they have no mobility rights. So imagine if you were stuck in this banquet hall and you could not leave this banquet hall. And your food was here, your tents were here, your sleeping arrangements, everything was here. And there was just people coming from left, right, center, asking, trying to help, etc. And that's the type of life that they're living currently right now, which is very distressing and was very shocking for myself. So I think when it comes to my learning is, the biggest learning for me is how resilient they are and how strong they are. And so it's not, when people go there, they talk about, people are suffering, what they see, and you'll hear most of that. But I think we need to bring forward some stories that describe about how they're putting up with the challenges that they live in. Because for us, even if it comes to a snowstorm, that's it, end of the day, we can't go to school, we can't go to work, etc., etc. But for them, they're going through these challenges every day, and they've sort of learned to cope with these challenges. And I think what was most satisfying for me is the role that Human Concern International has played in helping them cope with these challenges. And I think, at this time, it's probably fair to say thank you to all the donors who have donated for HCI, because without their support, it would be hard to promote these resilience strategies among them and to give them some sort of hope.
You're absolutely right. And I will be switching a little bit in Urdu as well. We have total of 6 video clips, and they're very small, 2 minutes each. Some are maybe 1 minute. 1 or 2 will be in Urdu. What Brother Nurani just touched upon, it's so important. I was blessed to go and visit the Rohingya refugee camps myself. And imagine, let's say if I had $100 with me, I could simply go and give it to someone from my hand and be satisfied and be happy. But how many of us can we do that? Probably not even 1% of us. So this is where the charities, the platforms like Human Concern International come into play. I think having these type of charities, those who are working sincerely, it is itself a big blessing. So yours and my responsibility finishes right here in Toronto when we make donation based on whatever we can afford. Versus them, They need to think about projects. They need to go on site. They need to keep monitoring. There's so much goes behind it. So thank you very much, Sister Mahmouda, Brother Nurani, and your entire team for allowing us to be part of this noble cause. So you might be thinking there are 31 camps and 1.1 million refugees. How in this world someone can manage these many people in a small area which is still a bunch of many kilometers? I just want to show you this quick video. We spoke to one of the in charge in one of the camp, and I'm just trying to summarize in Urdu language. Those who do not understand Urdu, just bear with us for 2 minutes. Right, each camp into 4 blocks. Each block will have a leader, and then each block will be subdivided into 6 further blocks, and each sub-block will have its own leader. So this is how they count people, this is how they collect their information, and this is how all these people will go and talk to the leader which is assigned by the Bangladeshi government. Let's continue our conversation here. The question I will ask Sister Mahmouda is, through the conversations we talk to many different families, children, especially looking at the future of the children. What are some of the challenges that people in the camps are faced with?
I have visited the camp in 2013, and I just went last month with you and Rani in 2018, in November 2019. I see great improvement. When I went in 2013, it was all dirt road, not even proper shelter, not enough for sure. I've seen people living under the tree, kids without families. This time I found out the shelter, you saw how organized it was, how well planned everything is. They all have food ration, at least every month they get ration. The kids who are alone without, who are orphans, they have foster home now. So they took care of the basic necessities. But my first day at the camp, I spent a lot of it talking with young women and many young youth, adolescent girls. And the number one thing that struck with me is the safety and the protection of these girls. You'd see that they have, there are many stories about them being lured into prostitution, child marriage, child traffic, and these are all young girls who are being targeted in the camps. Once I actually went to hug a young girl. She was wearing dress and makeup, and she got very scared as soon as I wanted to hug her. And then I was like, oh, what happened? So one of the local there explained to me that, people comes in like you, really nice looking, dressed up, and speaks very nicely with the kids, checks them, hugs them, sees through there that do they physically look okay, and then within a day or two they'll disappear. So the girls knows about these stories. It goes in the camp, so they're scared to even reach when people reach out to them. And these are true story. It's happening. So for me, I think safety and protection, along with the health and sanitations, and the future of these kids. I mean, they just get informal education for 2 hours a day. So where are they gonna go? They have no even proper education. They can't even speak the language properly. So there's many, but for me, number one is the safety and protection.
Safety issue, and we all live here. We cannot even relate to what she just described, right? Because our daughters, they go to schools in the morning. We don't even think about it, how they're going. We have peace of mind that they will come home, but think about it, what these people have to go through, and there is no end date. When you're stuck someplace and you know that by next week you'll be rescued and you'll be gone, you have a peace of mind. There is no end date of their problem. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make things easier on them. So we talked to many people, and I just want to play this simple 1-minute clip. We ran into this grade 8 student, Muhammad Sadiq, and surprisingly he was able to speak English, and I just stood with him and see what he says about Bangladesh and what he wants to do. That because in the camps, Bangladeshi government is not allowing them to go any beyond primary school. The charities, they have schools there, but they cannot go to secondary, and then there is no way that they can go out from the camp and go to college or universities. So just think about it. When you look at your children and you are locked in 4 boundaries and there is no end date, remember, there is no end date, what would you feel? Let's carry the conversation. We still want to be on time. The next question I have is for Brother Nurani. So now we are here. We've got the attention of people here. They're interested to understand, interested to listen what HCI is doing today on the ground, especially for the children.
So I'll speak to 2 programs, both which are reflected in that picture. If you look at the top right, that's a picture of us speaking to children who have been sponsored by donors here in Canada. So this is part of the child sponsorship program where donors pay $30 a month. That $30 covers the basic necessities of the child, as well as, to a certain extent, their informal education, if possible. So we had a conversation with some of these children. That's myself, Mahmouda, and Ois Bhai was there as well. And some of the stories that they were telling us in terms of how they came and how they lost their parents and where they are right now were really terrifying stories, and they were heartbreaking stories. And I think we shared some tears on that day as well. So that was one of the programs, and it was just good to see how we are able to empower these children from a young age, so that one day maybe they can't get the further education where they are, but at least their minds will be sharp. Maybe they are the ones who will come up, who will be able to push politically to get the decisions that are required to move them out of those camps. So that's the first one. The second one, the big picture on the left side, is a temporary learning center, what we call TLC, that Human Concern International established in the Rohingya camps, working with local NGOs. And what happens at those camps is there is 3 sessions of 30 students who come at each session, different students, so that's 90 students a day, and we provide them with certain learning, informal learning, access to informal learning, which was very beneficial because there is no other way for them to go to school or anything of that sort. So the important thing, or actually the innovative thing about this, was they were learning on iPads or learning pads. And so these were donated by another donor, but they were able to get their education from digital technology. And so that's what we want to promote. We want to keep the space over there, this temporary learning center, we want it to be as a safe space for children, so they're not harassed or anything. Whenever they have an issue or anything of that sort, they can come there, express to the person who's teaching them, and get some good quality education at the end of the day. And so those learning centers, we've established 5 of them. The plan is to establish a lot more. We have land space for 100 learning centers. And that also will not take care of all the children, but at least it will be in the different camps so that they can get some sort of informal learning. So those are the 2 main programs right now.
Absolutely. And are you interested to see how the digital learning camp look like? Yeah? And okay, let me show you the digital learning centers. The learning centers where these kids in 3 shifts, they come and they spend 2 hours, 3 hours with the teacher. They learn their Burmese language, they learn mathematics and other skills. And why they're learning it and why we're doing it with the hope that when the world leadership changes or the government changes in Myanmar, people's heart changes, you never know when is that going to happen. So whenever they go back, they can settle in their country. Now, imagine 1.1 million, and if not all, I would say maybe vast majority of them are Rohingya Muslims. And obviously when you live any place, you need mosques, you need madrasas to learn Quran, right? So they've established everything there. And I saw a complete different meaning of the use of bamboos. Bas, so then a bamboo's bas. We have seen bamboo's ladders back home, the cheap ones, right? Instead of metal ladders. But you saw everything in those camps is made up of bamboos. The shelters, the side walls, the carpet is also bamboos. So I was so impressed to see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this creature which is helping so many with this. So we're coming to an end. It's not going to take too much of your time, maybe 5 or 7 more minutes. I just want to show you this clip. जी आपको कुछ याद आया अपने बचपन का? कारी साहब के डंडे तो याद आए होंगे। तो बताने का मकसद ये कि आप ये देखें कि ये वो बच्चे हैं कि इसी तरह HCI की तरह बहुत सारी चैरिटीज़ हैं जिन्होंने अपना अपना हिस्सा डाला हुआ है। मैं और आप सोचें कि हम इस मसले को कल रात पूरा ख़त्म कर दें तो शायद ऐसा मुमकिन नहीं है, और अल्लाह की मंशा। लेकिन जहाँ हम अपना रोल प्ले कर सकते हैं वो बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है। लेट्स कीप गोइंग। This is the photo which Brother Nurani was talking about, and I want Sister Mahmouda's perspective on this. Do you remember this photo, this moment? What can you tell us?
Actually, this moment was probably the most heartbreaking moment for me at the camp, actually. When I think of these children and their faces, I still cry. And I think since I came back from Rohingya camp, I have not spent a single day without shedding tear for these kids and without having them in my dream. Um, this is the moment when we sat and we were talking to some of our child sponsorship kids, all orphans, the girls you see over there. And I guess one of the first question I asked them is, who are you living with? Your mom? Because I just thought their dad probably passed away, they have their mom. And right away, the girls, they all started crying. It didn't take them even a second, tears, crying, and I was just like, what happened? And every single one of them had shared the same story. Always, you're there with me, Nurani, you were there with it. That was the moment, I think, where we all bonded because we cried together. All the other moments were sharing, special moment. This was the most memorable moment for me from our trip because they're telling me stories about how their parents were killed right in front of them. And to save their life, they have to run. They couldn't even look back to see if their parents survived, where they're going, who they were going. They just ran and followed the crowd. That's how they ended up at the refugee camps. And I'm sorry, I'm very emotional again, thinking of these girls. But there are many stories like this. This is only 10, 12 kids we got to talk to one-on-one, but their camps is full of stories like this. The mothers we spoke to who saw their kids jump into the river because kids didn't know they're bombing and shooting. All they could do is run, and they ran into the river right in front of the mother's eyes. Anyway, so there's a lot of stories like that. It's heart-touching, it's heartbreaking, but one positive thing I would see that the kids are smiling in this picture. This is within 10 minutes of them sharing the stories about their parents. They started smiling because I believe Ovais or Nurani asked them, what do you do during the day? And they said, okay, in the morning we go to the masjid, we pray Fajr, we pray Quran, we learn Quran and Hadith. After that, we go home, have breakfast, and we go to school for 2 hours. Rest of the day, we play with our friends. I mean, that's only 3 hours. They're in a safe place, you could say. Rest of the day, they're in the camp. And you're asking them, what type of games do you play? And they started smiling and talking about what they do. Mind you, they don't have toys or anything. They're just very creative. And you remember what happened to us at the camp? We took out some balloons. Ovais and I had this brilliant idea that let's hand out some balloons to the kids. There's only 10 or 12 around us. All of a sudden, hundreds just showed up. Ovais being pushed in one way, Nurani ended up in somewhere else. I was being pushed somewhere else, just for one balloon. I mean, I don't even know, one balloon, I would see tons sitting on the floor. Our kids would probably just walk right by them, but this is how excited they were to get one balloon. But anyways, the picture for me is that going back to Nurani, how strong they are, how positive they are, how hopeful they are. They have not given up hope. Within 10 minutes, they started smiling, saying what they want to be when they grow up. So they have dreams. And I truly believe we have been chosen. None of us ended up here accidentally. We have been chosen to secure and take care of their dreams. And inshallah, every day, the entire team of Aitzia, we remember them, we pray for them, and we work so hard, day and night, weekends, just so that we could take care of their dreams.
We're talking about hope. When these kids finds themselves in these places, established, built by HCI, other charities, funded by all of us, whatever we can do, while having a luxurious life in Canada, elsewhere, this becomes their day of Eid, right? We can easily understand Eid ki khushi kya hoti hai. So let me show you one last clip, and then we move on to our next segment. So we showed you the Digital Learning Center. Now we're going to show you another learning center which is being built by HCI, operated by HCI. Take a look कि इन बच्चों के चेहरों पे खुशियाँ आपके और मेरे ज़रिए से कैसे पहुँच रही हैं. Something to do during the day. So with this, I would say thanks to Brother Nurani and Sister Mahmuda for sharing your experience of being on site at Rohingya refugee camps. And on behalf of everyone, we would like to say thanks to you, to Human Concern International, as I said earlier.
Sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah wa sallam alayka ya Habib Allah. Allahu Akbar. شکر کی ایک صورت، لہٰذا میں صرف مرد حضرات سے کہوں گا کہ میری آواز میں آواز ملا کر شکر کے جذبے کا اظہار بھی کریں اور عبدیت کے جذبے کا اظہار بھی کریں مل کر. اللہ اکبر، اللہ اکبر، اللہ اکبر، اللہ اکبر. کعبے کی رونق، کعبے کا منظر، اللہ اکبر، اللہ اکبر. دیکھوں تو دیکھے جاؤں برابر. اللہ اکبر، اللہ اکبر، اللہ اکبر، اللہ اکبر. دیکھوں تو دیکھے جاؤں برابر. اللہ اکبر، اللہ اکبر. حیرت سے خود کو کبھی دیکھتا ہوں اور دیکھتا ہوں کبھی میں حرم کو. حیرت سے خود کو کبھی دیکھتا ہوں اور دیکھتا ہوں کبھی میں حرم کو. لایا کہاں مجھ کو میرا مقدر. اللہ اکبر، اللہ اکبر. کیا دے نیال بھائی ازل سے ابد تک کے سارے سے ابد تک کے سارے نظام جزا و سزا دیکھ آئے. نظام جزا و سزا دیکھ آئے. خدا کو حبیب خدا دیکھ آئے. تجلی سے جس کی ہوا دور سلما. تجلی سے جس کی ہوا دور سلما. اس نور کو تصویر کمال محبت تنویر جمال خدائی محمد نور مجسم تیرا وصف بیان ہو کیسے تیرا وصف بیان ہو کیسے تیری کون کرے گا بڑائی نبی جی تیری کون کرے گا بڑائی اس گرد سفر میں گم ہے اس گرد سفر میں گم ہے جبریل امین کی رسائی یا محمد نور مجسم یا حبیبی یا مولائی تصویر کمال محبت تنویر جمال خدائی
Toronto 360 TV, best channel in Canada. One of the best channels in Canada. In fact, they're all great channels.